This is Experienced Optimist. And I learned that as a man, it is not who you are, but where you're at. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that a lot of times as men, we find ourselves in situations where the environment doesn't match who we are as a person. You might be decent looking, you can dress reasonably well, you have a good job, but for whatever reason, the environment that you're in doesn't mesh with who you are. And a lot of times, especially in America now, you're in toxic environments, especially when it comes to dating. So some of the advice that you'll hear from dating coaches, which is the wrong advice, is that you just need to dress better, you just need to hit the gym, you just need to do more approaches. But in reality, the reason why it's not working out is because you're not in an environment that's conducive to you being the best that you can be. And I'll give you an example. It's not who you are, it's where you're at. When I was in the military, I had a buddy. He was 6 foot, good looking, athletic build. He was Mexican and Greek. So he had an exotic look. And all the Latinas in El Paso loved this guy. They were always throwing themselves at this guy. And because of that, his confidence really grew. But then he moves back to the Bay Area. I don't know if you guys know anything about the Bay Area, but the Bay Area is full of masculine, unattractive women. So here's this guy who could pull 9s and 10s and above in El Paso. He travels back to the Bay Area, and now he has women 5s and 6s, dissing him, talking down to him, making him feel less of a man. And he couldn't understand why. Nothing had changed about him. He was still the same outgoing, gregarious guy in El Paso. But because the environment changed, he couldn't date the type of women that he was used to dating. And this happens to a lot of men. A lot of men are just in toxic environments, especially here in the States. And the dating coaches will say you just need to improve your game, but that's not it at all. What these men really need to do is find a place that suits them. And what I learned in the military and traveling around is that every man has a place on this planet that suits who he is. For example, I had a buddy, he's not particularly attractive. He's Korean and Japanese. But when he went over to Thailand, women loved him over there. And people say, well, because they're prostitutes. No. They loved him because he had an exotic look. It was the weirdest thing ever. I actually went over to Thailand with him, and people were like, oh, they're like, let's say, well, people were calling him Mister, like, hey, Mister. It was like he was a star over there. They're like, Mister So-and-so, come here. Oh, Mister So-and-so, let me show you this, Mister. It was weird, man. And women loved him. And he had gotten with a lot of good-looking Thai women. But to see, that was his place. That place enmeshed with who he was, right? For me, it was Brazil. I went down to Brazil. I'm dressing well. There was something about, there was just something about being in Brazil that women responded to. And I remember I was talking to one Brazilian woman. She was like, "Yeah, you look like a particular celebrity that's down here in Brazil." I never found out who this guy was, but it just goes to show you. I remember another time when I was in Germany, there was this guy, a white guy, that looked like a Backstreet Boy. This guy was very good looking, but he got no play in Germany. It got so bad for him that he hated it and wanted to leave. And the thing about it was, in the States, he could pick up women no problem. No problem. And it just goes to show you that for most men, it's not who you are, it's where you're at. Elliot Rodger, the guy that shot up Santa Barbara, he was pissed because he couldn't get any women. Getting mad at other men. That was a big mistake he made right there. Had this guy just got a little bit of fashionable attire, probably went over to a place like Spain, Germany, he probably would have been able to pick up women no problem. It is not who you are, but where you're at. Now, I'm not saying that you can just be a slob and travel somewhere and then all of a sudden everything will be good to go. No, you have to take a little bit of pride in yourself. But the thing is, once you find that place as a man, and I really suggest that every man travels around the world and tries to find that place, you'll find that a lot of times the reason why you were so confused, so angry, so mad at the world is because you just weren't in an environment that fitted who you were as a person. I'll give you another example. I was listening to the Joe Rogan show, and there was an author. There was an author on the show. I can't remember the name of the guy now, but he wrote that book, Sex at Dawn. And what he said to Joe Rogan was that one time he took a trip to Spain. And he said he didn't know what it was about Spain, but he loved it so much. He loved it so much that he moved from the U.S. to Spain. And then while he was there, he realized that it was just easy to live. He loved the culture. He loved the women. Everything just fit who he was. And he told Joe that he could never come back to the United States. He can never come back to the United States because to him, the dog-eat-dog world of the United States, how the women were less feminine, how everything worked in the States, he just doesn't like it anymore. I also met a man like this when I went to Costa Rica. When I was talking to this man in Costa Rica, he said he would never date an American woman again in his life. And he told me that American women just didn't value men like the women in Costa Rica did. It is not who you are, it's where you're at. So the reason why I'm making this video is I'm making this video because I want to urge men to, stay in shape, work out, dress well, the whole nine. But if you find yourself in toxic environments, travel. Travel around the world, trying to find that place that matches who you are. Believe me, you'll be a lot happier when you do. In my case, I traveled to Germany, I traveled to Spain, I went to Costa Rica, I went to Brazil, and that was probably the best thing I ever did in my life. Because I realized that sometimes you just have to leave, sometimes you just have to leave the United States, get out there to realize that there are better opportunities. There are better cultures. There are better places to make friends and to meet people. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. If you like the video, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up. Make sure to check out other MGTOW channels. If you would like to donate, I have a PayPal link and a Patreon as well. If there's a particular topic you would want me to cover, MGTOW related, I'll leave my email in the description box. Remember, it is not who you are, it's where you're at. And I'll talk to you later. This is